Good day, this is Lateesha with Soul Spirit Wisdom, and I am discussing Venus in the sign of Gemini. So if you have Venus in the sign of Gemini in your natal chart, or if you are dating someone or you are interested in someone who has Venus in the sign of Gemini in the natal chart, then this is for you. So what is Venus? Venus is the goddess of love. Venus has her rulership in everything that has to do with beauty and diplomacy and kindness and gentility and togetherness and finance and things that we just really enjoy. So Venus is the lesser benefic, as Jupiter is the great benefic. And Jupiter is home in the sign of Taurus, which is Earth, fixed Earth. And she is also home in the air sign of Libra, which is a cardinal sign. So Venus is her feminine home. Taurus is her feminine home, and Libra is her masculine home. She is exalted in the sign of Pisces, which is feminine water. So what happens when Venus comes into Gemini? So Gemini is masculine, mutable air. The ancients called the mutable signs double-bodied signs. So they have two bodies. They move in two ways. There is a definite changeability to this energy of Gemini in all of the mutable signs. But Gemini, by far, because it is mutable air, it is seen as the most easily changed of all of the mutable signs. So it is air. So air in and of itself has, all of the air signs have a dualistic nature to them. They have an ability to separate and become detached very easily, unlike earth and water. The air signs are able to be here and then emotionally detach. They are able to be in a place but not go in depth, with the emotions. So that's what we definitely see with this double-bodied sign of Gemini. So Gemini links the spring with the summer. It stands between the sign of Taurus and the sign of Cancer. So as it stands between the two, it takes on a mixture of the energy of those two signs, but also operating with the movability and the changeability of air. So when you think about air, you think about an energy that is consistent with freedom. So just if you have an air mattress and you buy the very best air mattress that there is, it doesn't matter. At some point, that air is going to escape, because that is the nature of air. It cannot be contained. And if it is contained, it's looking for a way to have freedom. So with Gemini, this particular air sign, it needs to have multiples. So Gemini stands as the signs of the twins. And it is known for being mental. It is ruled by the sign of Mercury. So Mercury, of course, is Hermes. And the god Hermes would travel from Mount Olympus down into Hades, flying with the wings on his boots. And so as we see Hermes flying about, flittering about, traveling and carrying information from above and below, and having a lightness to it, and having this ability to go into any area and be able to gather information and then share information, with the next person, and then gather some more information and then share it over there. That is what we see when we look at this energy of Gemini. So there is so when Venus comes here, there is a love for freedom because it's air. There is a love for communication and gathering information. There is a love for that. And then there is a love for multiplicity of things. So oftentimes, a love for having multiple partners can be associated with Gemini, because again, it is the sign of the twins. There is this one twin who is gathering information and representing kind of, the Taurian energy. And then there is the other twin who might be representing, the cardinal energy of Cancer. But you have all of that mixed up in with air that is moving and needs freedom and needs constant entertainment and constant variation of communication and people. So I met many people, I met and have read the charts for many people who have Venus in Gemini or strong placements in Gemini. And these are people who, like I said, they tend to have multiple relationships going at the same time, because they need to have different conversations, and they need to see something different, and they need to have a different experience with what they are learning, and they cannot typically get that just from one person. It's very challenging, because if they just have this one monogamous relationship, then it can get a little dull for them. It can become monotonous and stale, and then so they need to have another form of entertainment and communication. So with this Venus in Gemini, there is this absolute love for chatting and laughing. It is a very youthful sign, and people who have strong placements in Gemini, they tend to stay youthful and young and like to be around children so that they can laugh and play. It brings them a lot of joy. So Venus in Gemini, absolutely, they want to keep things light. They don't like to dive to the depths of things like water, like the water signs do. They don't want to go deep into the emotions. They like to stay up in the airy areas where things are light and fun and playful. That is what they like to do. And again, chatting and talking and sharing information and reading is a very brilliant placement for Venus. It brings up this love for data gathering, and figuring things out, as it were. What goes where. And so, if you are a person who has your Venus in Scorpio or Venus in Cancer, Venus in Pisces, the Venus in Gemini would be really challenging, because the water signs want this deep commitment. Earth signs too, they want deep commitment. So, the Venus in Gemini would do better with a Venus person who has strong energies in air, Aquarius or Libra, would be better for this particular Venus. And, I'm saying that, but, the chart will have a lot to do with it. There may be other placements that are air and may lend themselves to compatibility. But whatever the case, with Venus and Gemini, you have got to know that this person needs a lot of freedom, and they need to juggle. They need to juggle. So I met a guy, and he was a good friend. Not a good friend, I take that back. He was an acquaintance. And he shared with me that he was polyamorous. And of course, he had Venus in Gemini. He had Venus and Mars in Gemini. And he explained it and expressed it beautifully, how this polyamorous life for him was the way to go. He said, yes, I love one and then I can love the other just the same. He said, even when I was young, I always needed to have two girlfriends, and that is because he had that strong Gemini energy in his chart. And he was a Leo sun. He was a Leo sun, and I cannot remember his moon, but he did have that strong Gemini energy in that Venus. So even though he was the fixed sign of Leo, he needed to have multiple sexual partners, and he needed to have that. And even while he was married, he said that he and his wife were swingers. So, again, that's something that is typical for this energy. Okay, so I thank you so much for listening. My name again is Lateesha Hinton. I am an astrologer. You can find me at soulsbreadwisdom.com, or you can email me at info@soulsbreadwisdom.com for any other questions. Ase 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 O, Yod He Vav He.